What's up? This is Six Leaf Clover Fire here, and I am here to play some more chess. I believe this is episode 5 of Down the Ladder. And yesterday's game went by very quickly. I got an Icelandic gambit on my opponent, and they didn't know the theory of it. And I was able to get a very quick win. My opponent's only blunder was that they thought they had a fork, but it wasn't actually a fork for two reasons. One, I could block the attack on, or I guess I should say the check on my king with my knight, which also protects my bishop. That's something that will happen probably most of the time, but what actually happened in my situation is that I was able to block with my other bishop, and because I had a discovered check, he actually ended up losing his queen. So I was able to win. I really like focus mode. I really like the way my audio sounds, and I really like my thumbnail. So I'm feeling really good about this series, and I can't wait to play more games. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay. As I'm playing as white, I am going to play the London system since I lost both times I've used it. Okay, instead of just playing h3, I'm going to go ahead and develop. I'm going to... The thing is, as soon as you shut down the gate, is what I say, with e3, something like this becomes possible. c4 is very tempting. I think I am going to play c4. I like playing an early c4. Of captures I have there. Okay. I think, and this is a very weird way of playing the London, I'm gonna be honest. If I remember correctly as well, just trading to get rid of that bishop's good. Something like this, as soon as he captures. Okay. So now there are interesting things. As soon as he plays bishop d6, you can jump to the outpost. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Try to get my light squared bishop traded off for theirs. Even though light squared bishops are typically better for white. Queen b3 is an interesting idea as well. I also really like the light squared bishop in the London for purposes of attacking my opponent with the Greek gift. Oh, okay. I think it's important. I don't know if I want to do this here. Huh. Maybe I I don't really want to open up his center. That's the thing. So I'm going to go with this idea. The other problem is if he just leaves the tension, I don't necessarily want to trade into him, because then he has a Stonewall style attack, and after castling and bringing the rook over, it's probably bad for me. Okay, so I'm absolutely not going to capture, as I learned from one of the episodes. This is something like that would be really bad. Instead, either capturing or just pushing. If I push, Look, he has some weak dark squares. It looks like to me. Okay, attacking my queen. I really need to castle. Like, that's something that needs to be done. Pretty sure. One of these two moves, I'm sure, is fine. That's better. This is protected. Yeah, I've got a lot of bases covered, I think. This pawn's also, I think, pretty annoying for my opponent. This is completely fine for me. I actually have some ideas. Yeah. Now if he kicks me, that's gonna be brutal. That's why I say never kick a knight with the F-pawn. Even though sometimes, yeah, it can work. It really just depends on the situation. Looks very weak. That just drops the pawn, right? If I kick... Maybe with check, though. I don't... I'm not in love with this. I'm gonna castle first. Then kick. Because he'll probably take the outpost. Anyway. Okay, he's preparing to castle. Now I kick. Get a fork. Yeah, I think that's really bad for him. Then I have this fork. Everything I think is pretty well protected. Oh look. B4 is also beautiful. I'm dominating the dark squares. This bishop's bad. This queen's not doing anything. Do I have any other better moves than just taking the bishop? It's useful and important to check, but I really don't think I have better than to just trade. And then I think the queen will capture, because why would he? Why would he? Okay. He does that. I'm not sure if I agree with that move or not. Because now this pawn's gonna be hanging. This knight gets hit. So you should probably castle. That would protect. That would connect his rooks. Very important principle. Can really start cracking up, and he doesn't want to push now. Yeah, exactly. Because then I have this open file. I guess I could say semi-open. If I had my light squared bishop here, that would just be mate. That's why I like it in London. I can actually just push this pawn since it's since it is a double pawn and also can't take. You'd probably just do something like that. Be mindful of time as well. Just really dominate those dark squares. Okay. I don't have to worry about that. My rooks are connected, his are too. Um, let's just go with my intuition. Something like this, this. This pawn's gonna be really scary. I'd say d4 is probably my weakest pawn. Yep, exactly. d4 is probably my weakest pawn. That's the bottom of the pawn chain. Oh, I think I dropped a pawn, actually. Did I? Did I drop a pawn? Because... Oh, no. Yes? Maybe not. Yeah. I did drop a pawn. I think it's okay, though. Oh, look. That's mate, actually. Wow, I didn't even realize. So he was threatening a back rank mate. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Ooh, my opponent was quite a lot higher rated than me. So I got +10. Okay. Finally, I play a good London for you guys. I'm so happy to have played a good London system because the London system is one of my favorite openings. I really love the London system. I think it's fantastic. Next time I play white, I'm going to play the Vienna Gambit, if I can, which is another favorite of mine. I also have openings prepared for everything my opponent has to offer against e4. Like, I play the Panov attack, the Monte Carlo, the the Grand Prix attack is one of my favorites. I play... I don't know. Really, I have everything prepared for everything, I guess you could say. Oh, well, I don't want analysis. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of blunders and stuff. I don't want to see any of that. Glad I turned it off. Okay. Well, I'm gonna show everything to me anyway, I think, or maybe not. Okay, so let's see how I did. So normally I would play h3. I think that's completely fine. Nothing wrong with h3. It's just I'm trying to play the London, I guess, a little. I don't know. A little less systematically. The problem, I just don't like dealing with this. Because now I'm not going to be castling kingside, most likely. That's why I really like playing h3. And it would have also helped later on when my opponent was threatening those back rank mates. So, I still like h3. I'll play h3. I think, knight f3. Probably more sound. Again, c4. I love the early c4. Whenever I see knight c6, I like to think in terms of playing c4 right away. Basically, if my opponent doesn't play c5 and forcing me to play c3, I'm going to be playing c4 in my London system. Again, a little atypical for London, but that's fine with me. Because I do really love open tactical games. So I remembered from that one game where that one lady just completely crushed me. That trading off these bishops, just like they would want to do with our London bishop, I think is a completely valid strategy. An idea in London is to have this kind of structure, and then you just have to be careful about your bishop on d3 hanging because this knight blocks the queen's protection. But since my opponent let me, I played knight c3. Very valid, I think. Okay, now that they've developed their light squared bishop, they shut down the shop. What I like to say. So even I could probably play something like this here. The only problem is I didn't want him to have a Stonewall style attack on me, because that's what I like doing in the London. I don't want to get that dish back at me. So finally play e3. E3 I think is very important to play as soon as possible in the London. I played a move 6. It's completely valid. Again, just taking here I think would be super bad for black, because just look at all this. Look at this power. By the way, the bishop's my favorite piece in all of chess. I love that they are the only piece that have to stick to the color that they start on. So it's just, the bishop's just a cool piece. I love its design too. It just looks really neat. So yeah, I think this is a very good position. Let me just look at the eval. 0.6, so about what you start with. 0.02 more than what you initially start with as white. So okay, interesting. Stockfish. I turn feedback. Okay, sweet. Stockfish is telling me this is inaccurate. I don't really know if it is. Maybe. I mean, in terms of like human play at my level, I don't really think that's all that inaccurate. I think, Stockfish wants you to keep your bishop pair and just castle, because I will admit it took me quite a while to castle. I'll just leave feedback on. It did take me quite a while to. Oops. It did take me quite a while to castle, I will admit, and I wasn't really happy with that. But yeah, my opponent made a mistake here. I did not like the way b5 looked. b5. First of all, c7 isn't going anywhere because of this knight here. This knight would like to be maybe on a more active square, like f5. So then you could start pushing on the queen side. But at the same time, you need a castle. I'm closer to castling than my opponent. So yeah, not good. But at the same time, this would be really bad for me, I think, as I've learned from that one game. But, okay. Oh, well, Stockfish says this is best. Let's see what it says against that. Oh, it's saying c5 is a miss. Okay, so be it. c5 is a miss. I'll look more into why later. And again, I wish I didn't even see this during this stage of my analysis, but I don't know. Okay. I thought that was a very good move. The only problem with this move is now the bishop, because of this pawn, is just cut off. So this is an undefended piece. This knight is just completely undefended. So again, I don't really think it matters too much. This is more passive. I like to play aggressive. But at the same time, I am eyeing down h7. Not that it matters too much because I don't have my light squared bishop. But I think, yeah, Stockfish says that's fine. This is the best move because, like I said, it's more aggressive. I'm centralizing, protecting all the squares. This is protected twice. I'm covering all my bases. And once I'm able to kick the knight, I'll be in good shape. So this is a mistake. It didn't really look to me like a good move, if I'm being honest. If I let him stonewall me, that could be messy. So I trade. Which, okay, Stockfish's thing is a miss. We'll evaluate later on why that is. Now I go ahead and take my outpost. And let me show you what happens if they play f6. Oops. This happens. And then that's just a completely one game. So I always like to bait traps like that. Even if they don't fall for it, this is just a fantastic outpost. That's why it's not a hope chess. Yeah. C6. Not good. His luck. First of all, it takes away a square for the knight. Look. The knight really can only go to d5. That's the only square it can go to safely. Can't go to any of these. All of these squares are either protected or have a piece on them. So that's black's only option. Which looks good. It's a double outpost, I guess you can call it. But the problem is I'm attacking it. So what do when there's one piece defending something you want to take? Well, you remove the defender. Oh, okay. So Stockfish does like castling best, or castling first as best, and then kicking. I wonder if Stockfish would hate it if I just kicked it immediately. The issue with this is that something I didn't want. Oh, it works. It works out anyway because I'm still gonna end up putting a pawn. Yeah, there's the pawn I would have won in that situation. I didn't want to get checked and then have to trade. But I still would have won a pawn. And then b4's coming. This bishop's screwed. They can come here. The only thing good this bishop has going for it is to get out of the way so they can castle. At least right now. Well, this bishop's very active. It's a very active bishop. It just has such high mobility. And while it technically isn't threatening anything right now, it's just going to be there. And it's going to be annoying for black. This is why the London's so strong. And why it's probably my favorite opening for white. It's just solid. I think it's called is it the Cole system? Yeah, I think it's pronounced the Cole system. It's also good. It's basically the London setup without the bishop on f4. And so you have to find another spot for it. Usually you'll end up fianchettoing it. And also, you will have you'll be a tempo further along than you would in the London system. Since you're not taking time to place your bishop here, if that makes sense. It's kind of like in the Peert's defense, you're a tempo behind what you usually would be in the King's Indian defense. Which hopefully I'll be able to play the King's Indian defense soon. So interesting. I could have just played a3 right away. I went ahead and castled. That's completely fine. It's move 13. I don't like that. I want to start getting in the habit of developing at the very latest move 10. But, you have to be careful castling too sometimes because it does use up one turn, and one turn is a long time. So you have to make sure they're not going to come up with any tactics to capitalize on you taking the time to castle. Like, by threatening to win a piece or threatening to fork you the next turn or something, you know what I mean? So, gotta be careful. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's just say I had... I'm just randomly setting up a position. Let's just say I had my queen here and my bishop here. And I was going to castle next turn no matter what. And they played a6. Or, sorry, h6. I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and castle now. Well, then I get forked. So that's why you have to be careful sometimes as well. Before castling. That was just a complete example. But okay. So I castled now. Now the funny thing is he still could have jumped to that outpost, but the difference is I'm not kicking him to that outpost, if that makes sense. Now I do it. He doesn't go to the outpost here. He goes to this outpost instead. Still a good outpost. That's better, as Stockfish is saying. Now the problem is he's getting forked. So I just want a pawn, and I'm going to start trading more material. And because of this, I'm going to continue to open up the gap, or between my opponent, me and my opponent. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. The gap between me winning is becoming larger. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. So that's fine. Oh, something cool that my teacher taught me, my teacher Solomon taught me, is this is really cool. Let's say I did that. Well, he just moved his queen twice. So I also won a tempo in that exchange, even though I technically didn't win a piece. I won an exchange and also a tempo along with it. So okay, Zwischen Zug, I guess you could say. Yeah, I'd say this is a Zwischen Zug because, well, I have to capture back before my knight gets taken. Honestly, I'm kind of wondering if he should just capture with his king. I'm sure he could. Because look, this connects the rooks. Also, I don't have a dark squared bishop. Hey! That's actually the best move. That is crazy. I'm getting better, y'all. I'm already getting better at chess. I'm starting to recognize things that I would not have recognized before. Also, it's move 17. Since my opponent hasn't castled yet, and because I have the advantage, they're probably not going to be castling. Also, a move like this probably also, prepares for an endgame. If there is one. You see what I mean? So now my king's over here. His king's already in the middle. And it doesn't have too far to go to get there. To get to the center. Whereas mine gonna take an extra move. So I don't know. That looks like a good move, and Stockfish confirms. Oh, this is not chalky milk. This is actually apple juice. Oh no, sorry. It's grape juice, but it looks and tastes like apple juice. Okay. So, I mean, the same thing happened, just with a move in between. The queen didn't go far. See what I mean? So, I'm ahead in extra tempo, and look. That pawn's hanging. So I'll grab it. Now he has to castle. He doesn't have a... Well, he could play something like that, but that doesn't make sense. So, go ahead and castle, because that defends here. And you don't want to lose your rook. I just shut everything down. Played b4. That fish says it's good. That's fine. Yeah, I thought a5 was inaccurate. I could have taken. Just because, again, I'm 2 pawns ahead. But now this rook has to. Its responsibility is to protect a3, and it could potentially get overloaded later on. So I just didn't want to make the mistake again. And my last game with the London, and open up a file for my opponent. Ooh, you know what? You know what I bet Stockfish wanted more than f5? I bet it wanted this. Yeah, d5 is best. Reason why? Well, look. This pawn chain is a nightmare. And I'm going to start kicking this queen around. I'm just bullying the queen. I have so much space everywhere. This looks a lot better than this. That looks disgusting. Again, can't take, or else, well, that's game over. So can't push either. Look at this. There's nothing really my opponent can do. It's really gross. It's not a fun position for my opponent to have to deal with. Like, if we look at evaluation, like, yeah, it's +6. Higher than that, almost +7. So, not fun. So, again, these kinds of things are things I'm gonna start picking up on when I'm 1200, as opposed to right now. So instead of f5, I would have really liked myself to have played d5. Much better option. But okay, not a mistake. And also, I do kind of like this. Kind of sets up a pawn storm if I want to go that route. Or even just like, I don't know, somehow use it as like a hook later, like one of these pawns. Try to hook the g-pawn if the queen ever moves. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there right now. Kind of figured that was coming. I go ahead and do the same thing. Also, wow, I haven't realized just now a rook lift would probably be nice as well. Okay, they take. Felt like I dropped a pawn here, but as we know, it didn't. So here's something very interesting. My one opponent from 2 episodes ago, I think it was episode 3, she won partially because I surrendered the A file to her for her rook. And she just wreaked havoc on me on that file. Well, now I refused to give up the A file, and I actually used my open A file to win. That's very interesting. I actually appreciate and like this game a lot more than my game from yesterday, even though I completely, crushed it in yesterday's game. It was a game where I didn't really feel satisfied, if that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, a win's a win, don't get me wrong. And a tactic opened up that I didn't even see. This is a hilarious position. Because I'm 2 pawns ahead, but I'm basically a rook ahead and positionally. Because look at that. That is diabolical. That is just an evil, evil, evil thing going on. Let's just I bet something else could have happened too. Let's just play a random move. Let's not move any of these pawns, but let's just do this. something like that is evil. Because, look, I mean, they would have to move here. As if they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. Yeah, they can move here. But now this is just a completely one endgame. Well, is it? Yeah. Well, I don't have to do that. I can do that. Yeah, this is completely one. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's another route. If my opponent... I mean, I'm not saying it was the right move. But that's just something interesting I see. Yeah, my opponent made the mistake. That just drops the queen. My opponent cannot capture that queen. But they did. That's GG. Because, as we know, that is a back rake mate. It's one of the first checkmates you learn, but even like at literally all skill levels, it still can pop up. And my opponent also at some points was threatening. Like, I was starting to kind of get a little bit afraid. In this position of a back rank mate. Because, yeah, I have two pieces defending E1, but my opponent has two pieces stacked on it. Well, that's good. That's good for me. If they had three pieces, if they had another rook here, yeah, if they had an extra rook there, if they had like Aliekin's gun set up, then yeah, I would have been toast. They would have just completely just bulldozed me and won. But yeah, this was beautiful because, well, yeah. Here's what I was gonna say. This is what I was really concerned about. Oops, I lose. That could have very easily happened, especially if there was like 30 seconds left on the clock. I could have easily got back rank mated as well. And keep in mind, had I played H3 early on, like I usually do in the London system, then I would have won. Because then I have a queen, they have a rook, and then I'm also threatening a back rank mate again. So I'm just trying to point out to myself, all of these moves matter. H3 is a really good move in the London system. And I definitely could have played it. I decided not to this game. But that could have helped out avoid situations like this where had I have blundered and taken that pawn, instead of losing, I still could have won. So that's important. It's important to keep in mind. What else? Oh, I'm gonna go through. This time I am gonna go through with Stockfish. So, what level did I play at? Played with 83.9% accuracy. That's pretty good. My opponent played with 68.7% accuracy. They made 5 mistakes. They didn't make any blunders, but they made 5 mistakes. That's a lot of mistakes. Let me hold on. Let me try going back. I'm not saying everything that I like seeing. Like, I wanted to see like what level I played at as well. Game review. Let it do its thing. There we go. So I played at a 1400 rating. My opponent played at our level. He played exactly at his level. Played at a 1050. So, what I'm gathering here is this game that I just played against my opponent is what I can expect from people at my level. They made 5 mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I had 2 misses. But the accuracy for my opening, 90.7%. Middle game, 77.5%. That's pretty low. And then end game was 100%. So that's great. His opening was better, 98.3%. His middle game, 60.1%. And the end game was only a 30%. So, the end game didn't last long. The end game. This was it. This was the end game. that was it. That was the end game. So, end games are important. I don't really consider that an end game. I've been studying end games with Levi Rosman's course, and I'm learning a lot. So yeah, this is definitely an atypical London. I don't really understand a6. I guess this prevent forks, but at the same time, oh well, it is good because I do have my bishop here as well. So, yeah, never mind. A6 completely fine. It just looked like it was like kind of a waste. Because why do that when you can just attack my bishop? You know, I'll show you. Do this. I'll take here. Go castle, and then it's dead even. You know, and you better not fall for this mistake and be like, oh, I want to keep my bishop here, so I'll take like this. Well, you just dropped a piece. You just got forked. So then something like this happens. So then you can just. Okay, well, this. Oh, okay. I'm just discovering things. I'm just playing around and I'm basically playing a game against myself right now and losing. But okay, I really am curious why I had an accuracy here. I mean, I could hit show moves, but I don't really think that's going to help. Yeah, it's basically just what I actually play in the game. So, okay, I don't really. The only reason I can think this would be an inaccuracy is because of that wasted tempo that I was talking about earlier. Bishop d3, instead of trading, do that. I capture back. Well, I just moved my bishop twice. So, maybe that's why, but I don't know what Stockfish thinks of d takes c4. It doesn't look like it likes it that much. Let's see. What do you think of d takes c4? Saying it's inaccurate. Okay, so I don't really know. If anybody in the comments can explain why bishop d3 is inaccurate, other than giving up my bishop pair. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the only reason it's inaccurate. But I kind of learned, that bishop's strong. Mine wasn't developed, so let's trade. It seemed like a good thing for me. So, what do you think? Do you, in terms of human play, do you think that was inaccurate, or is Stockfish just being Stockfish? I don't know. That was a mistake, as we talked about. That was also a mistake. Another mistake. You can see, even though my opponent didn't blunder, these mistakes added up. And they just kept adding up and adding up. Just drops the queen. And then another mistake. To be fair, I don't think this is a mistake. we'll say it's inaccurate instead. The reason why is because you're not winning this game. It's a force mate in 14. Giving me a force mate in 2 really isn't. It's kind of speeding things up, I guess you can say. So yeah, I would say that last mistake wasn't really a mistake; it was more inaccurate. So yeah, I'll just say my opponent made 4 mistakes instead of 5. So I actually think my opponent played better than 68%. But yeah, they definitely played at their level. So I'm starting to see things a bit more clearly. I'm starting to think, oh, because of that one game, I need to start thinking about this A file in the London when they start launching a queenside pawn storm and not opening things up for them and winning tempos and developing rapidly and creating a really good pawn structure, really dominating those dark squares. I had 2 open files. I castled fairly quickly, faster than my opponent. I didn't just impulsively play h3, or not impulsive, I guess you could say compulsive. Yeah, I didn't just compulsively play h3. I actually thought about it and decided my one game I would rather develop my knight and get it here to the $1 million square, as Levy would call it, so that it would block an attack on my London bishop, and it would be a really strong structure, and they could fall for the trap and get forked, and then I'm up 2 pawns and material, and look, my opponent's pawns are all over the place. I still have this chain. Everything's starting to come together. The opening, the middle game, and the end game. Everything. Everything's starting to make sense. Next time I play Blaze White, I'm definitely gonna play e4. Try to play the Vienna Gambit. If I play as Black tomorrow, hopefully I play the King's Indian Defense and show you what I know about that. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. I hope you find my videos entertaining. And watching this noob here, try not to fall off the ladder. So again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and see you tomorrow.